are you? Well, you know you only have a minute, only 60 seconds in it. Forced upon you, you can't refuse it. You didn't seek it, you didn't choose it, but it's up to you to use it. You must suffer. If you lose it, give account if you abuse it. Just a tiny little minute, but your eternities are wrapped up in it. Welcome to the Jolly Good News Report for this week, and I've got some exciting information, inspiration, uplift, encouragement, and empowerment for you to keep you going strong, even in the midst of this coronavirus crisis. You got some good news that's going to come your way. Let me give you some good news. Good news. Good news. Got a story here about from my book, A Setback Setup for a Comeback, and I love this. It's a little good news about how you've got a part to play in whatever it is you want to achieve in life. Here's what I like. It says, most folks don't know how fast they can swim until there are sharks pursuing them. But the one who succeeds in life's great race is the one who finally, wisely sets the pace. The pace is not set as fear requires. Their stroke is a product and result of their desires. As you're faced with oceans of decision, are you guided by fear or by vision? Have you set big goals? Are you trying to hit high marks? Or are you still waiting to see the sharks? It is inspiration or desperation that makes you get motivation. So which one is going to be the one that moves you forward? In a time of challenge and change and even pandemics, your goals are still real and strong and can make a difference. So welcome to a show that's going to help you live the goals that you set, live the dreams that you dreamt about, and live the life that's possible, even in the midst of challenges and changes and difficulties. Still possible to live a great life and enjoy every second of it, even with the challenges and changes, because as we've learned, you have a freedom that nothing or no one can take away from you. As we taught about this freedom in the first show I did from Dr. Viktor Frankl, who said after he was taken from his home and his business and everything was lost, his family was killed, he said, I've got one freedom that no one can take from me. That's the freedom to choose my attitude. So you get to choose your attitude. And today I want to give you some fuel to fire up your attitude on this beautiful Saturday morning. Isn't it a beautiful day? How many are enjoying the fact that they woke up? That's a good thing, folks. Let me tell you, waking up is a good thing. I used to sing a jingle. You know, I used to be a jingle singer. There was a jingle that was very popular. The best part of waking up is waking up. Yes, every day you wake up is a good day, no matter what the circumstances and situations, because you can have an impact if you wake up on that day and on setting your future in gear for the next best, greatest achievement that you can consider and think of. So I'm grateful for that. Well, I wanted to take this moment to first give you the good news, the statistic for the week. Last week, we clocked in. Oh, by the way, if you're new, here's the real deal, what we do. If you go to the news report on the television, they tell you how many people were infected with the coronavirus crisis globally. Then they tell you how many people died with the coronavirus thus far. That's not happening here. No. We're going to talk about the good news. We're going to look at it from the good news perspective. And that is not how many people are infected, how many people died, but how many people recovered. How many people walked back in their home or got back to their lifestyle, or how many people left that hospital with the doctors and the nurses who we applaud so much. The doctors and the nurses applauding the people as they are going out. One man I saw this week had been in a coma for 5 weeks. 5 weeks. And he recovered. He's home with his family. What good news. What good news. So let me tell you, there's good news stories every day, but you just got to look for them, because the traditional news Their job is to tell you the things that will be what we used to call, if it bleeds, it leads. But we're going to talk about if it pumps life into you and encourages you. That's what we're going to talk about. So we want to thank you that we are at now 746,000 people have gone home. How you like that? 1,746,000 people at home have recovered. Is that good news, or is that good news? Particularly since just when we started this, it was only about 200,000 people who had recovered globally. And now we've got millions, going toward 2 million people. And we are excited about that. So welcome to Jolly Good News. I hope you'll do me a favor and start a watch party. Hey, do a watch party right now. Say, watch Dr. Willie Jolley. We're doing a watch party for Jolly Good News. Tune in. Come on, tune in. Get some good news. Or share the link with others so that if they can't watch it now, they can watch it later. Now, last week we did my chant that I do with my staff every day in my office. And we do a chant every day. Now, my staff is all over the place. So we do it via the internet. We do it through Zoom, but we get good news out to everybody, and we all repeat after each other and have a positive, inspirational messaging. So I want everybody to get ready. Here we go. You ready? Here we go. Okay, here we go. And I usually stand up, but I got a cord today because my microphone wasn't working the way I wanted it to, so I said I'll use the old standby. So I want you to repeat after me with confidence, enthusiasm, excitement. Say, I got to do it now. Say, I feel good. Okay, you ready? Okay, all right, here we go. Now I got to get it going. Say, I'm healthy. I'm wealthy. I'm happy. I'm whole. I feel terrific. I am blessed and highly favored. This is the day that the Lord has made, and I will rejoice and be glad in it. And I pray, send prosperity, revenues, wealth our way today. And we're going to do all we can to make it come this way. Now say it with power and conviction. I'm healthy. I'm wealthy. I'm happy. I'm whole. I feel terrific. I feel terrific. I am blessed and highly favored. This is the day that the Lord has made, and I will rejoice. I'm going to rejoice. I got to rejoice and be glad in it. And I pray, declare, decree, believe, prosperity, millions, revenues, wealth are on the way today. And we're going to do all we can to make it come this way so we can bless other people once it comes our way. Amen. What a chant. How you like that? Send me a note. Send me a note. Send me an email, info@williejolley.com. If you like it, I'll keep doing it. And if it doesn't move you, then maybe I'll stop. But I like it, but I want to see how you feel about it, because this is for you. I do this. I don't ask for any money. If you want to make a donation to jollygoodnews.org, God bless you. We love that. Anybody want to make a donation, we would love that, because we want to make sure we continue to add more value to more people and use revenues to do that. But that's not why I'm doing it. I'm doing it because I want to help more people who are struggling to get through this coronavirus crisis. I started it because I just said there's a need for good news. There's a need for good news in this time of bad news. Unparalleled, unprecedented. So, Jolly Good News featuring Dr. Willie Jolley. Okay. Now we want to do, every week I do a little review of some of the earlier shows just to make sure everybody can be caught up. Talked about Viktor Frankl in the first show. You choose your attitude. The second week we talked about the fact that you have good news stories with people who've had cancer. And if you go to jollygoodnews.org, there's an interview I did with two people who had stage 4 cancer. They're on my XM show, but it's a great interview. It's a great interview. And how they both beat it, stage 4, using positive thinking, positive affirmations, positive reflections, and making a decision that they were going to live. So it's a great story. And then the third week, we talked about the story of Joseph and the good news story about Joseph, how he went from being thrown in a pit. From the pit, he ended up in a prison. And then from a prison, he ended up in the palace, number 2, in Egypt. And because of that, he was able to save his family. And he said, what others meant for bad, God meant for good. And he had a spirit of excellence. So wherever he went, he kept rising. I want you to learn from that about the power of excellence and never giving up. Stay positive. And the next week we talked about you must either decide now that you're going to panic, which we don't recommend, or you're going to pivot, which we do recommend. Don't panic, pivot. Don't panic, pivot. And so it's time to pivot in these difficult, challenging times. And I told the story of my daughter, who is a cosmetologist, hair salon, couldn't do business, so she can also cook. So she started cooking meals for people and putting it on Facebook and taking money on Cash App, and has created a very profitable enterprise because she was willing to pivot. You can pivot. All right, the next week, we talked about my friend Debbie Span. Wow, she blesses me every time I talk to her. Stage 4 pancreatic cancer. The doctors gave her 6 months, and that was 14 years ago. She's been cancer-free for 14 years, only takes a baby aspirin every day. And she talks about how she had a positive attitude, and it made a powerful difference in her recovery and her beating cancer. The next week, we talked about the story of Elisha and the widow woman with 2 sons who owed a debt to the debtor, and the debtor was coming to take the 2 sons off into slavery. But Elijah said, I tell you what do you have? She said, I've had nothing. What do you have in your house? Nothing. I got a little oil. He said, okay, get pots and pans and jars and containers from all your neighbors. Go in the house, lock the door, you and your sons, and the oil's going to start to flow. And it did. And she filled up all these pots and pans and containers and jars till there was no more left in the whole area. And then he said, now. And the oil stopped. And he said, now, sell what you got, pay whatever you owe the debtor, and then live on the rest. And there were a lot of lessons out of that. 1, you got to use what you got. Use what's in your hand to be successful, to get through the tough times. 2, you got to work. You got to sell. You got to be entrepreneurial. You got to do something that controls your destiny. Because your destiny is not something that just happens to you. You have some control, some say in it. So you got to be proactive and take advantage of the opportunities all around you. Be proactive. I want to give a shout out this week for my niece, Carol, and the folks in Prince George's County, realtors. Carol, she's a Basad, but her last name is now Webb. And she invited me to come and speak for the realtors. We had a great time, and we talked about growing your real estate business by getting past the coronavirus, getting hope, and then taking these steps to grow your business. I also spoke on this week for Michelle Pacente with it was global, people from all over, South Africa, South America, Mexico, America, Canada. And I talked to the people on that call about being more entrepreneurial. This is the time to grow your entrepreneurial prowess. And this is the time to be positive and not just go where things have been going, but find a new path. Wayne Gretzky, the great hockey player, said the reason he scored more goals than anybody else, he didn't go where the puck was. He always went to where the puck was going to be. That's how I want you to think. This coronavirus crisis is going to change the world. It's going to open up new opportunities. And these are going to be great opportunities for those who have a vision for the future and are willing to take some risk and try some new things. They're going to be opportunities extraordinary. So now is your time to be looking where the puck is going to be. And so I want to thank Carol Webb and Michelle Pacente for inviting me. Last week we talked about my friend Lamar and his good news, how he had been diagnosed with cancer, but he decided, he gave me an analogy. I love this. He said, I see cancer as we are in a gladiator's arena. It's me and cancer. Now, this is a fight to the death. One of us got to die. And I decided that cancer's going to die. He had been diagnosed with cancer. He got his scans last week. Good news. Cancer's gone. What a great good news story. Get in there and fight for your life. Fight for your family. Fight for your future. You got to fight for it. Don't give up. Say, I'm not giving up. And then last week we talked about the story of Daniel. And that's why I want to get the second part of that story. The story of Daniel. Daniel was in Israel, Jerusalem, and the city was taken by the Babylonians, and Daniel and a number of his friends were taken back to Babylonia, where they were in exile. And they were bright, they were handsome, they were talented, and there were four that stood out, and they quickly rose up the level. Daniel and 3 Hebrew boys. Well, they were told to bow and worship a God that was not the God that they knew was the God of gods, the Lord of lords. And they refused to worship. So Daniel was thrown into a lion's den with hungry lions, but the angels shut the lion's mouth, and Daniel survived and thrived and has gone on to become an iconic feature and person in our lives. The story of Daniel and the lion's den. Now, let's go to the second half of that story is those 3 Hebrew boys. We know them as Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Another good news story. Now, Daniel was off. He was doing one thing. They kind of got separated. And then the 3 Hebrew boys were doing lots of great things, but they would not bow down to an idol that the king had made. And somebody said to the king, those 3 Hebrew boys won't bow down. And it was an edict that if you refuse to bow down to this idol, that you would be thrown into a fiery furnace. Well, he talked to them and said, y'all going to have to bow down. They said, no, we're not going to do it. Y'all have to bow down. We're not going to do it. You can do whatever you want, but we're not going to do it. We trust God. That's the kind of energy that I want you to have, to trust God through this coronavirus crisis. Yes, we'll get through this because we're trusting God. I love Psalm 34. I will bless the Lord at all times. His praise shall continuously be in my mouth. My soul makes his boast in the Lord. The humble shall hear of it and be proud. Oh, magnify the Lord with me. Let us exalt his name together. I love that. I read the whole thing. I've been just studying it. And I love how it encourages me. And then Psalm 91 says that the people will die on the left and people will die on the right, but none shall come upon my dwelling. And so I want to encourage you to have that kind of trust in God, faith in God, and confidence that God, we're going to do wise. We're going to be wise. We're not going to go out without a mask and without gloves, and we're going to wash our hands, but we trust you, God, that somehow, some way we'll get through this and we'll succeed and win through this. And I want you to win. Well, these 3 Hebrew boys were told the king, we're not bowing down. So he said, okay, but they heat up the oven, not regular temperature, 10 times hotter than regular. It was so hot that the gentlemen and the people were putting in the wood got burnt up. They burnt up to a crisp. And yet, when these Hebrew boys were thrown into this oven, this fiery furnace, nothing happened to them. Nothing. Not even a hair on them was singed. Their clothes weren't singed. And they walked around like they were in air-conditioned building. When it got cool enough to look in, the king and his cronies looked in and said, it looks like not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4. And that 4th one looks like the shape of God walking among them. And God protected them in that fiery furnace. And they came out, and the king said, I now know your God is the real God. It's your testimony about how you handle this challenging time that people will look at you and say, wow, look at what he or she is doing and how they're handling this. So I'm encouraging you to have a positive attitude, keep the faith, and speak good. Yeah, it's challenging, but it's going to have a time when you're going to look back and say, this is the time we really had the great good news. Now, let me give you some more good news today that I want to share. I have good news from some elders. There are a couple people here that I want to share that I think are just great examples of good news stories that will bless you. So, this is one I really love. It was some older people who have beat this coronavirus crisis, and they have lessons on what you can do and learn from their experiences on how you can do the same. There's some great stories here that I just love, and I thought we need to have more good news stories like this all the time. Elders who are 80s, 90s, and even 100s who got stricken by it but have won. There was one story who Lucille Ellison of Orlando, she know that a lot of people are in a panic right now because their weddings have been impacted. I got a niece whose wedding has been impacted. And she parallels that today with World War II. She was supposed to be married in 1942, but then came the attack on Pearl Harbor, and her fiance enlisted to fight. Their marriage had to wait. And through the challenging times and all the difficulties, they were able to hold on and find good from that experience. Well, Lucille Ellison, on her 102nd birthday, or 102nd year of life, got infected with coronavirus. And she said, I learned from that experience where I had to wait for my husband to get back from the war for us to get married, that you got to stay positive. She had to cancel her wedding that year. But to cope with that virus and all that's going on, I tell people to not get depressed, not get distressed, to roll with it. Just go and it will succeed with it. And stay positive. She said, I eventually got married, had a wonderful life with my husband. I'm 107 years old. I got the coronavirus. I told the coronavirus it was not welcome to stay because I had more to do. And I stayed positive, and now it has passed. I am doing fine. She said, learn from this, that there is a power in your attitude, that you can see the negative or you can see the positive. It's your choice. Oh, there's some really good stories in here. There's another story. The clear winner in any contest to become the oldest survivor of the coronavirus is Cornelia Ross. This Dutch woman lives in a residential care facility, like a nursing home that we have seen so many have had challenges. She celebrated her 107th birthday on March 17th with a few friends and greetings from the mayor. The following day, she wasn't feeling well and had a slight fever, but didn't think she had the virus until her positive diagnosis was discovered. Despite being disappointed that she now couldn't have visitors, she bounced back with a positive attitude and said that the virus is not going to stop me from living the great life that God has given me thus far, and I got more to come and more to do. And she worked on her attitude, and she said that the doctors, when asked the advice she has modern day people stuck in self-isolation, she said, you must stay positive. Be grateful for every day. I'm encouraging you to be grateful. Be grateful for everything. And make a point to say, you know what? I truly believe my best is yet to come. So I'm going to do all I can to make sure it comes. If you need encouragement, watch the Jolly Good News Report every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. right here on Facebook Live. By the way, I'm thinking about moving it up an hour to 9 a.m. because some people, I think, are already in their day activity. So would you do me a favor? I need a couple favors. I need you to let me know if you like to chant. If you want me to do that, send an email to info@williejolly.com, INF as in Frank O, @williejolly.com. If you'd like it earlier, 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. Eastern time. Let me know. Say, hey, you know, I like it at 10, or I think it would be great at 9, or I like it at 8. And whenever I get enough responses, then I will be mindful of that. And then if you have not gone to see my song, my music video that I created, just to encourage people, called We'll Get Through This, I encourage you to go see it. My friend Les Brown, wow. He blessed me with his endorsement of the song and the video and the impact it's had on people. I am so grateful for him and what he has been sharing with me and sharing with so many people. I want to share with you what he shared with me. If you like, I'd like to share it with you. Would you like that? Let me show you what Les Brown said, and I think it will bless you. And hold on, let me share my screen. Share the screen. There we go. And then let me play this video. It's 1 minute of my friend Les Brown sharing what he has said about this song and the impact it's having on people's lives and the impact it had on his. Well, my screen's not working. So, oh, there it is. Here it is. I'm going to share it. Go ahead, Les Brown. Let's do it right here.
You're going to have failures. You're going to have setbacks, just like what we're going through right now. Millions of people have lost their jobs. Millions of people have lost their businesses. But Willie Jolley, our good friend, who wrote a book called A Setback is a Setup for a Comeback, and he recently recorded a song called We Will Get Through This. We will get through this. This has not come to stay. It has come to pass. We will get through this. At the same time, there are people that are becoming millionaires. We will get through this. There are people who are hunkering down, and there are people who are looking for strategies on how they can go up. We will get through this. Elsie Robinson had a point. Things may happen around you and things may happen to you, but the only things that really count are the things that happen in you. We will get through this.
My friend Les Brown. Wow, wow, wow. Well, look, my time is up. Hope you enjoyed today's Jolly Good News. Join me, share it, tell Lottie Dottie and everybody about it. And remember, your best is yet to come. God bless y'all. Have a great day. Bye-bye.